I'm Mike Spector, and I'm at the East China Normal University in the Department of Educational Information Technology, and I'm here to interview Professor Gu, who's the head of that department for the AECT Legends and Legacies series. So I have about 11 questions, and you can deviate, you can answer as you like, or choose to change the question or skip a question, however you like. But the first thing I would like to ask is if you could give an overview of who you are, what your position is here at ECNU for the people that will be viewing this later.
Okay, actually you already introduced who I am, and my name is Xiaoqing GU from East China Normal University, and currently I'm a lead professor at the Department of Educational Information Technology, and I also coordinate the research and teaching of this department. And I have a big family, about 30 faculty members in our department, and we are doing research in educational technology, and some of these projects have cooperate with the team that Mike has crucial roles in. This is what I'm position. My position is.
Okay, thanks. Could you tell us a little bit about your career path, where you got your degrees, which universities and jobs you had before you have your current position?
My path is not complicated. I got my bachelor's degree in Nanjing Normal University. It's also top universities here in China, and then I got my master's and PhD degrees in ECNU, and then I became a assistant professor here in ECNU, and then associate professor and full professor during the past decade.
What was your majors in those other at the degrees?
Yeah, my major is always educational technology.
Okay, yeah, that's unusual in America. So
yeah, I know. Yeah. But here we have majors from undergraduate all the way to PhD.
How did you get interested in the field of educational technology?
Actually, I had no idea at all when I was enrolled in the university, I didn't get the essence of what educational technology was when I graduated from college. But when I came into the master's program, I realized what educational technology is supposed to do to the education, to the kids, to the teachers. And then gradually I developed interested in this field, and since then I getting more and more interested and passionate in this field.
Okay, that's good. Excuse me. What were some of the big ideas that got you excited and maybe led to your professional development in the field? Or maybe who were, or some of the research ideas or developments that you thought were promising that you've pursued?
I think there are several of these occasions and figures which I think need to mention. Is one of these occasions is when actually Mac, you played a very important role in this past, and I still remember I first met you in AECT. I forgot the year of our first met, but I still remember that we met at the AECT conference. I forgot the year of that conference, and you interested me to the audience, and then introduced me to Maria. I guess you don't remember that time, but I still remember very freshly. I have very fresh memory of that, and I think have this very valuable meeting with big figures in our field is very important to encourage me to keep doing what I was doing in the field of educational technology. And in terms of the research ideas, I developed my interest in learning science when I was working with professor in the field of computer collaborative CSCR, and I have been doing research in CSCR for maybe a decade, and I think it's very interesting topic. And from that project, I also developed my interest in the project in my research on the project of computer supported systems to help students develop their cross-curriculum skills. Critical thinking is one of these skills, and I know that you share this interest with myself, and we have lots of talking about this kind of skills, and also there's collaborative problem solving skills. It's also very important for the students in this time. They need to possess this kind of skills to solve real situation questions. This very important skills.
Yeah. You mentioned early that you met somebody working in CSCL. I'm curious who that was.
I worked with two professors in this particular direction or area. One is professor, he probably retired 2 years ago. He's a professor from University of Missouri. He was a colleague of David Jonas.
Oh.
Yeah, James Laffey.
James Laffey, I know him. Yeah, sure.
He retired, I think.
I'm not sure.
Half retired.
I know that when Jonathan passed away, he put together a memorial. I mean, he got a bunch of people to contribute some memory pieces about David. Yeah.
He's working on a virtual world to help kids have hard time to socialization.
Yeah. I don't know the word I'm searching for either.
Wait for.
It's okay. Yeah.
Pause for a minute. Let me think about that word.
But I'll divert your attention, and then maybe it'll pop into your head.
Okay.
Because I know one of the things you're really good at is bringing people here. So who are some of the major professors that you attract a lot of powerful people to come to ECNU, and I'm curious who you bring here. I met one of the folks already.
I bring Charles Crook from.
I met him.
I need to mention him as a important figure who have influenced my career path, professional development in this field, because he was chief editor of JCAL, the Journal of Computer Assisted Learning.
Right, JCAL.
He was chief editor of that journal for more than 10 years. And when I knew assistant professor of educational technology, I tried to get my research published in JCAL, so I submitted my first journal article to JCAL, and I received very detailed comments from him, and I must say that I learned a lot from communicate with him, and I must say that he's almost number one of important person.
Oh, okay.
At least one of the most important person in my career. In my career, so I keep academic friendship with him, and when I have this chance to bring people to East China Normal University, I think about him, and I ask if you are interested in this visiting scholarship. At that point, he was not anymore of the chief editor, and he may have more free time of himself. So he said yes, and then we have him also as our visiting professor in our department. I'm glad that you met him.
No, I met him yesterday,
Yeah.
and we had a nice conversation.
Yeah.
I was impressed. He had, Charles Cook had good questions for the critical thinking project.
Yeah.
But who else besides Charles have you brought?
After Charles as a professor, visiting professor, we also have professor originally is Professor Hua Chang is a Chinese. He was original Chinese, and actually he worked here before he went to study in United States, and stayed in the United States, and became famous professors in universities. He worked in URUC for a couple of years, and he's leaving URUC to he's moving to Purdue University. Purdue University, and he also is visiting professors of our department.
Okay.
And after that, you and your team, very fortunately we have you, Professor Ling, and Gerard Kinesic as our visiting professors.
And I think Tristan Johnson has been here also.
Yes. Yeah, I hope he's not the last one, because we are developing, and we are trying to develop into an international team of our department, and we are doing studies that I think we can have us heard internationally. So I hope that we can have more exchange and conversations with international scholars. So I hope that we can have more scholars, international scholars, to come here and work with us, and I hope we also can come out and join more international teams and have more exchange with international audience.
Yeah, no, I think it's very likely because people are naturally be attracted by what you've already done here because you're already one of the leaders in the field, I think. So,
Thank you for this, say that.
No, so I'm happy to try and connect you with other people. I'm skipping ahead now because you've answered things as we go along here. But what do you think is your top priority right now in the field of educational technology? If there's one thing that you want to put at the top of your list to do to make a contribution to advancing what we know and understand about using technology effectively to promote learning and instruction.
You mean in terms of the project with what?
No, what do you care about? I care about what do you care about the most? Yeah, I mean, I know you have a lot of projects going on here from the Maker Lab and critical thinking and all sorts of things. But what would be your top priority?
My top priority, I never think about that. I just keep I just keep doing what I think that should be done. But since you bring this up, I think my priority should be to do what we can to help students, help our kids to develop into their potential. So what our MLab team is doing is exactly what I think should be the priority, to help the kids to develop into their potential.
No, I like that answer. That's kind of the answer that Gagne would have given. But I thought you would say creativity, because when I talk about critical thinking, you always talk about creativity.
Yeah, we use this phrase because this include what we are doing at the MLab. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask it a little bit differently. So over the years, you're younger than me, but you've seen a lot of educational technologies come along.
Yeah.
Which one of those technologies do you think has had the most impact on your own learning or in general on learning?
You mean technology itself?
Any technology. So I'm thinking of this because in the year, I think it was 2007, there was an international conference on advanced learning technologies in Spain, and they had a panel of 5 people, and they said, we're going to ask you one question at the end of the conference, but we're not going to tell you what the question is. And the question they asked was the one I just asked you. What technology has had the most impact on your own learning or on learning in general? And the 5 people gave 5 totally different answers.
So it's a very general question.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm listed the technologies I'm using, and I'm thinking what one particular has impact on my learning. It's hard to name only one particular technology.
Well, which ones come to mind? Which ones are you thinking about?
My notebook.
Your notebook computer?
Because, because I've been almost part of myself. So
yeah, I understand.
So if I had to name only one particular technology, I think about that. That should be one.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. Yeah. Let's see.
So what's yours?
Okay, that's not fair. You turned us around. But of the 5 people, I was glad I was not the first person. So of those 5 people, the first person said the internet was the technology that had the most impact. The first person said the personal computer, which was a little bit, but not the notebook, because these were older people, and this was 2007. Second person said the internet, and so I was trying to be clever, so I said the slide rule. So a slide rule is a mechanical calculating device that was invented more than 500 years ago, and we had to give an explanation of why. And so my explanation was, because when you use the slide rule, it's easy to make a mistake. So you have to think about the problem ahead of time. You know what the slide rule is, but it turned out nobody in the audience did, so it was a bad answer. But you have to think about the problem and know what a reasonable answer would be like. And if you don't get something within the range of that answer, assume you made a mistake and do it over again. So it made you think about the problem. So I said that's why it was an important technology.
Your point should be that the technology gave you the opportunity to critical
It made you think about the problem.
Think about,
Exactly, And then somebody in the audience said, "What's the slide rule?" So I thought, okay, that was a bad answer. And I don't remember the other 2 because I was so embarrassed. Okay, moving right along to question number 9. Well, no, that was it. That was question number 9. So, yeah, number 10 is you don't have to answer, but if you would like to, how would you like to be remembered within the profession of educational technology?
Be remembered?
Yeah.
It's so early to think about when I was out of this field.
Well, you've left a mark on this department, right? You've been with this department for a while, and you've transformed it into a leading. Yeah, that's one way that you could be remembered as somebody who put the Department of Educational Information Technology at ECNU on the map, or you're somebody who brings together lots of distinguished people to work on leading projects. There's a lot of ways you will be remembered.
Yeah, I think I will be remembered, and I will be remembered, most possibly be remembered by my students, because what I have done to help them, and I will be remembered by our junior faculty members, because what I have helped to develop our department this way, and I think I am more interested in the way that I am remembered by what I contributed to this field, but it's hard to invent something unforgettable in educational technology field. So this is I'm thinking that what I can do to have something left in the field of educational technology. Maybe what we are doing at the MLab project, what we are developing as an assessment system, may have some values in our field.
No, I think it will.
Yeah, I don't know if this project and what we are doing in this project can get legacy.
Yeah, so that's it, like legends and legacies. So you're already a legend. Yeah, so I was asking about the legacy. And the last question you hinted at a little bit earlier. It's about memories from AECT or AECT members that you might share with the folks that will view this video later. Any memories you have? You mentioned one about meeting me at AECT.
Yeah.
Do you remember the city? What city was that?
I can't remember the cities. I'm not good at remember English names. It's very hard for me to remember.
Was it Los Angeles or Jacksonville or?
Similar like Jacksonville. I think maybe Jacksonville.
Yeah, because we've been to both of those places quite a bit.
Yeah. So that's my first and never forget memory of AECT.
Okay.
And after that, I attended several AECT conference, and I remember meet some big figures of AECT, and
Yeah.
you are the most of them, and I remember took pictures with these big figures.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. If it was Jacksonville, I might have still been at Florida State, or I could have been at Georgia already, because we've been to that city several times. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yeah.
before I went to North Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I also I was impressed by not only the content that covered in the conference, but also the format of the conference, because the conference held here in China is different from the conference held in the United States. So I was impressed when I was first I was in AECT for the first time, because the gatherings, the auditions, this kind of stuff is totally new to me, and I was totally impressed.
Yeah, no, it is a lot different than
Yeah.
conferences here. I just came
Yeah.
from the Smart Education Conference in Beijing.
Yeah.
But, so we're using Barbara Lockheed's protocol. That was the last question. And what Barbara Lockheed describes the AECT like, it's like a professional family. So
Yes.
it's informal, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of talking and getting
Yeah.
to know people. So.
Yes, yeah, and I also I was also like the way of the informal talking to people, and grab some snack talking to people.
Yeah, always food.
yes, and also, you know, the posters is also a good way to talk to people, to talk about the research of the
Right.
of the people. So it's also very valuable experience for
Yeah.
me.
Well, that's the end of the question. Do you have anything you want to ask me or share with the people that might view this later to add?
Let me think for a minute. You mean ask you
Anything,
anything?
Yeah.
So can I also ask what legacy do you think you can, or what is the most important that you think you should
Oh, you're asking me that same,
remember?
you're asking me that question. That's,
Yeah, I think it's very
when I was,
interesting
because I
point
have
to-
an interview that Barbara Lockheed interviewed me for this same series, and I skipped that question because I didn't know what to say. So I probably still would skip it. So, but I think what I'm working on now is the critical thinking project with you and some of your team. That's what I care about, and I hope to make a contribution there. So maybe that would be.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that we can make it unforgettable for both of us.
Well, we'll have an opportunity in Kansas City because we have a workshop on the critical thinking project.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate your time. Yeah, so thanks again for the interview.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you.